Alright, we locked in right now. It's the Wheel1 podcast. Boy, Master Twice got a special guest in the cut right here. This is my good friend, Steph. Steph, introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, I'm Stephanie. What kind of introduction do you want? I'm Stephanie. I'm partially paralyzed. I'm a nurse, you know.
She's helping us through this tough time, you know.
Tough times, yeah. I'm working behind a desk right now.
How is that so far?
Awful.
You're not a desk person?
No. I went into nursing because I don't want to do desk work.
Hands-on.
Yeah.
Hands-on,
yeah.
Well, before we get back into all that, now we're going to have to start, the early life, bring us way back, early life, how you grew up, family, siblings, everything, all that.
Well, I was born in 1989.
Okay.
As a girl. I happen to still be a girl.
Just so happens.
She. Yeah, I guess. Is that what they go right now? I don't know. No, early childhood. I was ADHD, super hyper, super active, not the smartest kid, and then I had a friend who challenged me, and I was like, fuck this bitch, she's better than me at everything. It's like, alright, I'm gonna actually try now, and then I started to apply myself, and look at me now, I'm a nurse with 2 bachelor degrees.
2 of them, not just one, 2 of them, you know.
Yeah, 2 bachelor degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not like a bachelor and master's. No, I decided to do 2 bachelors.
I mean,
because, fuck my life.
I mean, you gotta get it done. You gotta get something. You gotta get some piece of paper. Like, that's a major thing.
That's what it is, piece of paper. At least that's what my first one was. You're like, so what can I do with this when I graduate? Nothing? Oh, well, okay. It's a pre-health degree. Great. So regardless, I need to do another thing. Yeah, okay.
See, now before we even get back into that, I wanted to talk about some passions you had now growing up. Like you said, ADHD kid. What were some of the things that you just loved, that you were just drawn to?
The jungle gym. I wanted nothing more than to just play in the jungle gym. That was all that was in my thoughts. I had so much energy. I was just like, I just want to hang upside down on those monkey bars right now. It'd be like 3 + 3. Who cares? What do I need this for?
Monkey
Nothing.
bars though, upside down?
Bars, yeah.
That was the life. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely had great imagination, loved being outdoors, didn't get those video games and everything. I was just always outside in my own little world in my head.
I mean, but that's a little bit of a great thing, because I think especially nowadays with how everyone's so much with the screen time, that a lot of people don't enjoy the outdoors as much as they should, because it's no, really they don't, and that therein lies part of the problem of what's going on in society. Exactly.
Small part.
Very small.
Yeah, social media is the bigger part, I'd say, but.
See, all right.
We are doing this on social media.
I mean, yeah, we use it. We use the bad for the good, though. That's how we try to flip it around. That's what this whole thing's about. That's the big thing. Now we touched a little bit onto it. Now we're gonna kind of smooth more over. I'm thinking about as yourself, woman, disabled woman at that, in today's society, how do you view it? How do you feel about it? And we talked a little bit about it just now, but what do you think about how things are going nowadays?
As a woman, or
in general, you're in general thesis.
Well, I'd say society's pretty fucked right now. I mean, you're just battling with this moronic convoy. I don't know if you guys support that, but yeah. No.
I mean, my thing is, of course I support everyone's right for free speech, but then it's at the same time, I feel me personally, it's just if you really have a problem with the politicians, go outside their house.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
No, but the thing is, nobody is free to do whatever the fuck they want. It's just not a thing. You're not free to go around and fucking shoot people. My God, you can't just go out and do that shit. There are laws, regulations, rules for a reason.
Very true.
There's
anarchy
do whatever
unless
the fuck you want.
It's very true.
So, like, I mean, they're saying, oh my God, we're destroying their freedom by making them wear a mask and get a 0.5 mil injection that not most of the world, but a huge portion of the world has gotten. And lo and behold, we're all still alive with no consequences. Like, vaccine reactions are so minuscule. Don't even get me started. I can't.
See, like, but like, this is an interesting topic just because, like, I always wanted to get into it a little bit just because you as a nurse now, you're really on the front lines of this. So it's like, what do you see on a daily basis, like, from, like, you know, being at work and then, like, obviously with your expertise in the field?
Well, I was off for most of, like, I was off for the whole beginning of the pandemic starting and everything, just with my injury and whatnot. And so I sort of got into it during the third or fourth wave. I think it might have been the third wave. Okay. But like, I've got a lot of friends who work on the front lines and everything, and now I'm working in like the patient flow department, and so I'm seeing the cases and everything, and like the large portion of people that are getting COVID and like are in hospital and in my ICU are all unvaccinated. Like, I mean, it's hard, and it's just sort of continuing this surge of patients coming in, and now everyone who comes into the hospital has to be isolated. The number of isolation rooms we have in the hospital is like so little, so it's creating backflow problems. We're having to cancel surgeries and like everything. Like, it's awful. And you know, if everyone just did their part, you know, we wouldn't be in this situation. But you know, people are fighting for their freedoms by taking away other people's freedoms, you know, like
it's funny how that works. Funny how that works, like, because my main thing is this, like, I remember I saw something that was this block, like they were blocking like an ambulance was getting their way through, and I saw eventually like they're trying to move away, but it's like move out of the way. But then to me it's like, as someone who's been in like a life and death situation, as you may know, like those not 2 minutes that you take to move could really cost me my life. And like, seriously, those are things that like I feel people need to think about if you are going to protest things. Is like,
well, somebody died in an ambulance because the ambulance didn't get to the hospital on time because of these fucking trucks just chilling in the way. Like, it sucks because that person would have survived had they gotten to the hospital on time. And like, you know, I mean, as soon as you put that family member of one of these people there, they would be like, okay, you know what, this is not cool. But no.
Yeah, that's this is a weird thing about it, you know. It's a very weird thing. It's
somebody
like
personally in the situation, you know.
I feel like that's the thing with a lot of things with people. Like, they don't understand things until they know somebody who's personally in it, and now it's like, oh wow, I viewed this whole situation very differently. Yeah. No, you don't realize.
I mean, it's the same thing for us, right? Like, exactly. I mean, until we got disabled, like, how often do you really think about, oh, this accessible bathroom isn't really accessible? It'd be like, okay, like, you've got no push button on the door, but you've got the wheelchair sign on it. Be like,
how am I supposed to get out of here?
Yeah. How are you supposed to get in and or out? Like, the door opens one way. Be like, that's very hard as a person in a wheelchair to open. Like,
especially if you don't have the use of your hands, like all of us do.
Yeah.
You know, but that's a good segue to kind of go into, like, I want to talk a little bit about, like, obviously a dramatic situation that happened to you, which is obviously getting a spinal cord injury.
Yeah.
Tell us about that story.
Fun times. Did you want like the short version, the medium version, or the long version?
Give us the long version. We got all the time.
Okay, yeah. So the short version is I skied into a tree and royally fucked myself up. We're allowed to swear on here. Because,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, that's the short version. Yeah. The long version is I went skiing and I skied into a tree, which apparently you're not supposed to do. I had to learn that the hard way. You know, people told me not to do that. I was just like, but is it really so bad? Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. So yeah, I like hit the tree. I was lying in the snow. I like instantly lost feeling from like my waist down, but I didn't really notice it because, you know, your body starts going into shock, right? Like,
it's more like a tingly feeling than like,
it's just it just like your whole brain's just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm in the snow just looking up. My leg is clearly broken, like at an odd angle, like, and so that's all you really see when you look at me. Be like, okay, shit, her leg is broken. Like, pushing a button here.
Oh no, we're good. Okay,
cool. Oops. Yeah. So I was surrounded by people on the hill. They were like, okay, we have to straighten your leg. This is going to hurt. I was like, oh, okay. And they did it, and I didn't feel anything. And I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Okay. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Is this really happening to me? They started cutting off my clothes, and I was like, I just bought these pants.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling.
I was like, listen, guys, do you really have to? And my coat, too. Can you just take the coat off? They're like, we have to get your clothes off. They're like, okay, well, now I'm naked in the middle of winter on a hill, now being sledded down the hill. And it wasn't until I got into the ambulance when I knew something was wrong. I was like, okay, something's really bad, because, like, they lay you flat. I had the thing around my neck, and, my leg is now straightened. Couldn't feel anything, really, and I was, obviously, my body was going into shock, so I was slowly bleeding to death, I guess. Just, like, body's like, okay.
Shutting down.
Yeah, but then the ambulance started going, and, every bump, they lay you on this hard platform there, and just like I completely shattered my sacrum, like my pelvis. So like any little bump, my butt's just bouncing against this board. I've never screamed like that in my entire life. Oh my god, so much pain. It was awful. I'm pretty sure I scared the living daylights out of the poor person in the ambulance. She's like, oh my god, what's wrong? Where are you hurting? I was like, my fucking ass! My fucking ass! I eventually had somebody prop their fists up under my pelvis, and that helped a little bit, but oh my god, it was awful. And I guess they weren't able to get an IV in me, because I assume I was just bleeding out, so my veins were just like, hey, we're gone. No, son. And so they didn't give me any pain medication until I got to the hospital, and the doctor's like, okay, what'd she receive for pain? And they're like, we haven't been able to give her anything. He's like, are you fucking kidding? And after that, everything was just sort of in and out, like one of those movie scenes where you just get
flashes.
Flash shots, right? And I was just like, is this really happening? I'm staring up at the ceiling, people are talking to me, and it's
white light.
Very, it was very bizarre. And then I guess they must have stabilized me at Collingwood Hospital, and then they put me in an orange to Sunnybrook. Okay. So, I got to fly and everything, which was pretty cool.
The orange helicopters. Yeah. It's funny because, as you say that, I remember being at Lyndhurst, and when you're outside, you always see the orange helicopters fly.
Too,
yeah,
right?
You hear them
loud.
And see it fly over, going over to Sunnybrook all the time.
Sunnybrook, yeah, that was me. So now, anytime one of those passes me by, I'm just flashbacks. Be like, I hope that person's okay up in there, right? Because it's bad if they've got the orange going. Yeah. So turns out I had broken my sacrum, my spine dislocated from my pelvis. I broke my T12, L1.
Jesus.
My L5 was a complete burst fracture, and then everything else. Plus, I broke my femur, and my aorta tore, which contributed to the shock. So I was just slowly bleeding out from my heart. Both my lungs were punctured, so having problems breathing. I had internal bleeding. They were considering potentially removing my spleen, because they're just oh, she might have really damaged her spleen. Thank God they didn't have to remove that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I had 3 major surgeries. The first one was to fix the heart. They did an abdominal exploration, so I got a nice big cut there. When they tried to fix my heart, it actually fully tore, and so they had to do chest compressions while the doctor was fixing my heart, because I was actually dying. So they had to give me huge amounts of fluid and blood products and everything. So I swelled up. It didn't even recognize me. I got my mom to be taking pictures too. I was between in and out of surgeries, and my mom's I'm totally intubated. I have no idea what's going on, but my mom's there, and I'm in and out, and I'm just take pictures of me. I was I need to know what's going on. So I've got these some interesting pictures, because my mom's I don't want to do this, don't make me do this. I'm getting worked up, so my heart's going. She's like, oh god, okay, I'm gonna take pictures. So I've got some cool, pictures of they had to leave my stomach open because I had so much fluid on board from when they gave me fluids during the surgery.
Your stomach open?
Yeah, I've got a picture of my stomach open. They put a plastic sheet over it. Really bizarre looking, but if they had closed me up, I had so much fluid on board it would have damaged my organs, so they had to leave me open until some of the swelling went down. I didn't even know that was a thing. Pretty cool though. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, and then the second surgery was to close me up. And then the third surgery was all the spine stuff and fixing my leg and whatnot. So I had like staples all over my body, just pretty intense. I had some pretty wild hallucinations though throughout it all. It was pretty fun. Gotta love that ketamine.
Oh god. What like what's one of the most bizarre hallucinations you had off of it?
Oh my god. So there's one point where I always felt like my eyes were open. So I'd close my eyes and like they would still be open. So like at one point I'd close my eyes and it just like I had like x-ray vision. So like I'd be able to see through everything, like walls. I'd be able to see through like people. So like I was just watching like a bunch of like naked people at one point. I thought like I was moved around to the ICU a bit too, and so that attributed like sort of went into my hallucinations too. So like I knew I was moving around and like just like panicked, like what's going on. And so at one point I work in psychiatry as a nurse, or before my accident I did, and so I like hallucinated that I saw one of my regulars come in and like was being thrown into the drunk tank or whatever, and then there's just a bunch of people in this drunk tank just fighting cops and and like I'm just in this room and like there's like windows and everything through it, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, oh my god, and why is everybody naked? Why is everybody naked? Why are there just a bunch of naked cops fighting like I was like, I don't know what's going on. This is fucking weird. I was like, I'm definitely hallucinating. This is not real. And then there's one point where I thought like I was in a wheelchair. I was not in a wheelchair. There was no way I could have been in a wheelchair. And then like I was in ICU, but I always thought that in the ICU, within the ICU, there was just a gym where, you know, people were working out. And so I'd be like, I'd roll in, like they'd push me in a wheelchair into this place and there'd just be people working out, and then they'd leave me and I'd be like, so what am I supposed to do? Do you guys want me to like work out? Like, should I be working out? And I'd be like, okay, can somebody help me with this machine? And then anytime somebody from the gym would come and be like, okay, first we need to listen to your stomach. Be like, why do you need to listen to my stomach? So I guess this must have been when my stomach was open. Like people would listen to my stomach. But every time, and I'd be like, why is everyone listening to my stomach? This is very strange. I just want to use this workout machine. Like, what's going on? Oh, so weird.
See, like that. Now, this is like an experience that I think a lot of people don't get to hear much about. Now, like the recovery process. Now, like just dive into that a little bit more, just because like we learn about all this craziness and just how they saved your life pretty much, you know.
Well, they definitely did, yeah.
And now it's like the get back, because I feel like for me as someone who's like in through a spinal cord injury, I feel like yeah, when you get hurt, it's like obviously a tough part, but I feel like the hardest part is like actually getting back to like somewhat what you were before.
Yeah, so like I was only in hospital, like the acute hospital, for like 2.5 weeks ish, and then I went to Lyndhurst, right? Yeah. And Lyndhurst is great. It's amazing. You know, it's such a good facility, but you know, this place is built for people in wheelchairs, people like us, people with disabilities, right? Yeah. It's totally built with us in mind.
100%.
And it's fantastic, right? Because like, especially when we were in hospital, and everything was still open, right? I can't even imagine, right? Like today, everything is closed, awful.
I went there a couple weeks ago to get my Botox done in my bladder, not my face, just for you guys, you know. Yeah. And when I went there, it's like basically you can only go into the Robson clinic. You can't. They shut down the cafeteria. It's like pretty much done.
They shut down the cafeteria. It's now outpatient, and they took away like the little coffee place and everything, and replaced it with vending machines because that's healthy.
Yeah. And you can't like go into the wings like at all.
Yep. Nope. And there's like, so patients don't have anywhere to eat now, so there's no like mingling of like people, and like that was a huge part of the recovery, was being able to talk with people that are going through this similar situation. Like, you know, like all of our injuries are slightly different, right? But we all are struggling with very similar issues and whatnot. And that was a huge part of the recovery for myself, I'm sure for you as well. Just like that camaraderie and knowing that you're not in this alone.
I feel like that's a big thing, because like, you know, a big thing about like I like to talk about on the show mainly is because of that, is that my mental health I was struggling when I first got to Lyndhurst, because it was you know, the feeling alone and then trying to like recover, and then you're still like in pain from all your other injuries. And it was but then to have like other people that were around that were
doing
like,
the same thing.
It's the same thing. Like, I couldn't say, "Oh, you don't understand," because you know exactly what I'm going through. Yeah. And it was like that just helped me get along. And I feel like that's a big thing, that a lot of people feel like they're alone through a lot of situations.
Yeah. No, it was definitely the biggest thing for me was knowing that I wasn't alone in this situation, and having somebody to talk to. They're just like, yeah, you know, I get it.
It fucking sucks.
Yeah. So, but the thing they don't really prepare you for is going home, right? Right. Gosh. That's the hardest part. Is you go home and you're just like,
what do I do now?
Like, the world is not actually...
It's not Lyndhurst.
...designed for me, for people with disabilities, right? Like, you're like, shit, like, what do I do now? And then you're at home, you're alone. Like, that was probably the hardest transition for me, was that aspect. So when I was at Lyndhurst, you know, everything was great. You know,
and you're there for a couple months too, so it's almost like you get a little comfortable with it.
Yeah, exactly. I was there for like 2.5 months, I think.
I think I was there for like 3.
Like they pushed you out pretty quickly, unfortunately, compared to what they used to do. But I mean, it was long enough that, you know, I got out of the wheelchair. I was able to use my little walker and whatnot. So
I remember you with the walker.
My little walker and my trekking poles. I was like, oh, I'm 30 years old and using a walker. Awesome.
We're killing life right now.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck. Oh man. But yeah, the recovery, you know, at the beginning you're just really, really focused on yourself. So I didn't really have time to stop and think about how this is going to impact my life. And that was what happened when I went home. I was like, fuck.
So like, what were your first thoughts of like that? Like, because I feel like I was the same, where it's like, when you go through the whole hospital rehab process, you don't really, I feel, fully comprehend your injury, because it's like you're in places that assist you with that the whole time until you get home, and then you don't have all that, and it's like, you know, it's like everything hits you in your face. So it's like, what were your first thoughts?
So it did. I mean, it was helpful, also not helpful at the same time, me being a nurse, because I understood what was going on. I understood everything that they were telling me and whatnot. So it was just like, okay, so I've got a spinal cord injury, like, can't feel my legs, like, can't move my foot like this much, like, uh-oh. It did help that nobody told me that I wouldn't be able to walk again. I feel as though that would have been an even bigger struggle for me, being told that, hey, you're never going to walk again.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I got that one. Like, you know, when I woke up, that's like the first thing that they told me.
Yeah,
and I
be
was
like,
just
you're paralyzed, fully paralyzed. Yeah, no, so nobody ever told me that. Like, they were, you know, confident that I would be able to walk again. I was like, okay, that's good. So, you know, I'm going to try my best to get there. And I mean, at the same time, everybody tries to regain as much as they can, right? Be like, you know what, fuck you. I'm not going to walk again. I don't think so.
Exactly. Some of us beat the odds, you know, we keep it pushing.
Right. And so I was lucky enough that my spinal cord injury wasn't that bad in regards, like, it was lower down, so I didn't like, it affects my legs. Like, I'm still partially paralyzed, obviously.
Of course.
Like, I've got
spinal cord injuries last forever. They never go away.
Unfortunately, it was my cauda equina that I really fucked up, and that's where my bowel bladder stuff comes into place.
See, like, that's what sucks, is like, that's the thing I try to tell people sometimes. It's like, people see me in the chair and they just assume, oh, if I was walking, like, I'll be perfectly fine. I'm like, that's not true at all. My bowel and bladders will still be fucked. And like, that's a whole ordeal in itself.
Well, that's one of the hardest things about my injury, right? Like, I mean, at least like I understand, like, being in a wheelchair, people see you, and so you get that sympathy factor from people and that sort of understanding, right? Whereas me, like, to look at me, nobody would really know unless they really watched my walking closely, because I do walk with a little bit of a limp. But no, like, I have these lasting things, right? Like, there's still a chance I could shit or piss myself, and like, I don't get sympathy for that. People be like, what the fuck is wrong with this chick, right?
Well, with
like,
me, they're like, oh no, it's okay, it's okay.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I've definitely shit myself in front of people, and they're just like, it's all right, don't worry.
Right?
Like, you know?
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely different mentally, because I don't get any sympathy. Really, people don't know what I'm going through, like my struggles day to day, and that's probably one of the harder things about it. Like, I mean, I'm super thankful that I can walk and everything, but I still do have issues that people just don't see. So that's something that I still struggle with day to day, is just mostly bowel bladder stuff and just like that sort of thing. But
I mean, that is definitely a hassle in itself, because, like, you know, my whole morning routine to get me up, like, if it's a non-suppository day, for you guys who don't know what suppositories are, it's, you know, Google it a little bit, but, you know, she gave you a little hint there. But what if it's a non-suppository? I might be sitting on the toilet for like 3 hours just to make sure I don't shit myself later.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And it takes time, right? Like, I have days where it's just like, okay, I'm in the bathroom for like an hour and then in and out for the rest of the day. Like, fuck me, like, that's my whole day just worrying. And you know, mentally you're just like, okay, so I need to go to work today. My stomach is like feeling not so great, like, oh boy,
you know,
here we go.
And it's like, these are the type of things, like I said, with me in the chair, like, people can see what's going on, so they give you that sympathy. Well, for you, it's like, you're going through pretty much the exact same thing I go through, because it's like, but because you're walking around, it's like, oh, well, you should be fine.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's you learn to deal with everything, right? And you, like, I've always been a pretty honest person. Like, I talk about my injury, I'm totally fine with telling people about it and whatnot. But I mean, there's some things where you don't usually just come out and be like, hey, so sometimes I piss myself. Doesn't happen very often, but every now and then.
Yeah, like, you know, same with me, it happens, you know.
Yeah, and so dating with a spinal cord injury is just a whole new level of fucked.
Yeah.
My God.
That was a very interesting thing, because, like, I remember for me when I first started, I was like, first of all, confidence was at like an all-time low, because, you know, wheelchair guy, and with me, with my injury, mine's like about T4, T3-ish, so like it made me, I developed like ED, so on top of this, it's like, I'm like, how am I really gonna do this now? And so, like, at first, I remember I would go on like this, like, dating like apps and stuff like that, but I would always like post pictures that like didn't seem like I was in a wheelchair or something. So it's like, you know, people try to get to know the real me, and it's okay. I did that, and then I would say, oh yeah, I'm in a wheelchair, and usually I would get, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that,
and then not here,
and then
again.
ghost, and then ghost. It's just like it was a routine thing, and I'm just like, wow, people are like full of shit. You can just say you don't want to talk to me, like, it's okay.
You learn really fast that being more honest is better than the sort of not talking as much about your injury, right? So like, as a wheelchair, like, you want to show you're in a wheelchair. For me, like, hey, if I get intimate, that was a fun learning experience. Getting intimate with people and just being like, so kind of pooped a little there, like, I'd be like, I did not realize that could happen. Be like, and so definitely traumatized one or two guys, along with myself, of course.
It's okay, because like, you know,
so like the poo is one thing, the pee is always, like, pretty much always. So like, you need to lay down things, and, you know, there's no spontaneous sex anymore. There's preparation.
It's planned out. It's a little bit more planning. You know, I've definitely had to, like, okay, I think I might pee. I think I should stop right now.
Like, kind of feeling that little tingly, but no. Yeah. So that was really fun. So now, like, at first I didn't know, and then, you know, I tried, okay, I'm not going to really raise it until it sort of happens, and that didn't go well. So now it's just like, okay, before I get intimate, be like, I have a few things to tell you. So, always a fun conversation. Fortunately, I'm pretty open. I'm pretty honest about it. And, you know, honestly, if you don't laugh about it, you're gonna cry about it.
One of my biggest things I take from everything with like going through the spinal cord injuries, it's better to laugh than cry.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, like, we have our days.
Yeah,
we have our days,
course.
certainly, where we cry.
Yeah,
like, especially for me, right before I get my period, awful. Hormones. Fuck hormones.
See, for me, it's like the random days. Like, I just, like, some days I'll just wake up and it'll be cool and I'll be thinking about something. Or it'll be, like what we were talking about the other day, where it's, like, something that reminds you of your injury.
Something happens. Usually bowel bladder related, where you're just like, oh, fuck. Right.
It's like, you just remember where you're like, oh, my gosh. And you get into this zone where it's almost like the first days, I like call it, you know, going through the whole experience where you're just like, oh, this sucks that I'm in this. But then eventually you're just like,
Yeah, be like, you give yourself like a little bit of time for it, and then you just be like, okay, I need to go on with my life.
Exactly.
Like, I can't change anything. So I've had my meltdown. Okay, now I need to get back to life.
Like, one thing I live by is like, if you can't change it, love it. So that's why, you know, personally, I turned out to like owning it more. I was like, I'm a disabled man. Like, you know, this is me. This is the life.
Yep.
So, you know, these things might happen from time to time. I might fall out of my chair. I might piss myself, and I might number two. It just happens.
You don't know, right? Every day is an adventure.
Exactly. You know, we just got a more complicated one, but we make it through.
Yeah.
So, like, one thing I wanna know too, with like going through this whole experience, is like, with the how have you turned the negatives into a positive?
Turning the negatives into a positive. Honestly, it's mostly like we just talked about, just laughing at yourself, be like, and just making a joke of it. Be like, oh, so this happened. Okay, you know, at least I didn't shit myself today.
I know those ones.
When you don't shit yourself.
It's always a great day when you don't shit yourself.
So yeah, that's pretty much the. And I mean, like, but the nice thing about my profession is with nursing, there's so many different categories of nursing, so I can still do my job. I just can't do bedside really anymore. I mean, I could probably do it, but I'd probably hurt myself.
Yeah.
More so.
Safer.
You know, if I want to preserve my body until, you know, I'm at retirement age, I probably should go a little easier on myself. So.
I would recommend that. You know.
Yep. So yeah, just. You know, you just have to be grateful for what you still have, for the people in your life, you know. And
it's the little things.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, you know, I can walk. Great. You know, and there's days where I'm just like, damn, I'm doing so good. Look at me. I feel so confident with my walking, you know. And then, like, an 80-year-old woman will pass me using her walker, and I'll be like, oh, one by... Okay. Go, lady, go. Fuck me. Whatever.
You just gotta appreciate it.
Yeah, honestly, like, be like, well, I still feel like I'm doing pretty well. God. Yeah. That's happened a lot, though. Just be like, some like super old person will pass me while I'm like cruising and like doing my thing, think I'm doing great. Then it'll happen, I'll be like,
they're just like, you're in the way a little bit, but you know, thank you.
Yeah. There's definitely days where I'm just like, oh fuck, I feel so sore.
Yeah, that's one thing, like, for me, because like I haven't walked in like almost like 5 years now. So it's like for someone who's like lost the ability to walk and then regained it, tell people like how hard that is to like actually walk.
Yeah, God.
After like losing that ability.
Walking is way more complex than we realize. Oh my God, there are a lot of muscles that go into walking. So, like, at the beginning, like, I was wheelchair bound for about 2 months or so before I could actually, like, sort of walk, like, with the walker, just, you know, baby steps, whatnot. So, like, at first, it just started with, you know, trying to stand. And, you know.
When you're sitting for, like, months, that is a very difficult thing.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of muscles. And, like, 2 months of not sitting, everything is, like, basically chewed up and like gone. Like, you're weak, you're stiff, like everything is deteriorated to the point of like I need to regain a lot of things back now because I haven't been using these muscles. And it's hard, and it's really discouraging when you're just like standing and then just like you're slowly falling back down again, and be like, okay, I gotta just keep trying. And oh my god, I had to get like these like leg braces that basically just like stabilized, because my calves were just my calves still suck. Might add, but I don't have to wear the braces anymore, so
that's a plus.
Yeah. So like, I mean, you only need like really big muscles to be able to sort of walk like an idiot, but you need a lot of more intricate feet muscles, like calf muscles, hips, everything to actually be able to walk well. And it's still frustrating when I'm just like, trying to do something and be like, I'm trying to move this group of muscles and I can't, right? Like, you look at it and you're just like, it's there, like I see it, right? But like, why isn't it moving?
See, like, for me, because I don't know if can you still not feel like from the waist down?
Yeah, so I've got like, it's mostly all the back sides. Like, I can't feel my butt at all, like the backs of my legs, the backs of my calves, and like the sides of my feet and heels. That I can't feel. Like, I can't spread my toes or anything anymore. My calves aren't great, but
because I always found that interesting, just as someone, like, for me, because like I can still feel my whole body, but like I just can't move it. Like,
okay, yeah, because like that's the interesting about the spinal cord, right? Like, the spinal cord, when you say you've got a spinal cord injury, right, like, people automatically assume, okay, you can't move or feel anything, right? But depending on what parts of the spinal cord were severed, like, there's movement and then there's sensory. And so, yeah, that's crazy that you can actually feel. For me, it was just like certain things for both movement and sensory were lost. And then the cauda equina was what I totally obliterated. And that also controls some leg stuff. And so that was probably the most affected. So I think more or less like my paraplegia healed up for the most part. So it was just the cauda equina part of my spine that was not great. But yeah, no, very, very bizarre when you're just like,
yeah, because like that's exactly what I was gonna ask. Like, when you touch yourself and you can't feel that.
No, it's a very, very weird. If I push deep enough, I can sort of feel like really deep sensory. Like, I can feel the muscles moving. But I know. Otherwise, like, I can pinch myself and be like, oh, nothing, right? Like, and the weird thing was like, the whole right side of my left side was the most affected, but the whole right side of my leg, like, I totally lost like heat sensation.
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean, because like for me, it's like from underneath the injury, I can't feel like wet
temperature, or wet,
or like temperatures.
Nothing, yeah.
So it's like, unless like they like stay in there for a while, then I just like, my body's like, okay, something's going
like
off.
Something's wrong. Yeah.
But other than that, like, I really like, so I know exactly what you mean. It's like, that was a crazy thing to explain to people too, is where it's like, I don't feel wet, and they're like, what do you mean? It's like, I just don't. I mean, like, you don't feel it. Like,
that sensation, right?
It's just like, I can feel like when water touches me, but I can't like feel the sensation of being wet on like my legs anymore.
That's a weird concept to try and explain to your brain too, right?
Because like, I'll be in the shower and it's like, up here I feel like I feel wet,
everything,
and then it's like I go down and I'm like, no, nothing.
Like, am I wet? Am I?
Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. Like, when I was in the hospital bed, like, I had fevers pretty much ongoing, and so like, I'd be like super hot, and so they'd put ice packs on me, but I only really realized that something was off with the right side, because the left side's the most affected, but I've got full temperature sensation on this side. And so they were putting like ice packs on me. I'd be like, oh yeah, it feels so good. And then they'd switch it over to the left or to the right side. And there was just like nothing. I was just like, that's really weird. Like, why isn't that as refreshing as it was on the other side? Like, I don't understand. And then I'd be like out in the middle of winter, because my accident happened in the winter, obviously. It was a skiing accident, and I'd be out in the winter just like in a t-shirt and like my pants, and I'd just be like, still so hot.
Oh god.
Yeah, just chilling outside in like negative 20 degree weather, just fucking warm.
See, that's the crazy thing about like how like a spinal cord injury can just affect like the way your body regulates temperature.
Yeah.
Because like we were talking about this earlier, how it's like you're usually hot, I'm usually cold, and it's like for me, I remember my injury happened. It did happen like going into the winter, but then by the time I like left for Lyndhurst and everything, it was close to summertime. So, and I'd be outside in the summertime in a hoodie, everything, and the breeze would blow, the nice cool summer breeze that everyone loves, and it would make me shiver like I'm freezing now, and I'm like, oh my god.
That's super common with spinal cord injuries. It's usually like the C section, or like the cervical spine injuries that experience that more than the paraplegics. But I think it's just super uncomfortable.
Because it's just like I'm trying to enjoy the sun too. Like, you know, I couldn't even do it that summer. Like, it was just like I'm too cold for this.
Yep, always wearing a hoodie. But no, now me, I'm just like, fuck, even what I'm wearing right now is warm.
And it's cold outside today.
It is cold outside. Yeah. Ugh, awful.
Oh man, but like, you know, that's the life we live. You know, it's the life we live, and we're getting through it. So now,
trying to, yes.
Now, like, going forward, now, like, what do you see for yourself? Like, Ivan? Oh, that's all good. It's a little water situation. But like, going forward now, like, how do you feel like how do you see yourself? Like, what do you see is going, like, you know, for the future? What holds for Stephanie?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a loaded question, because like, especially I feel like with people who've been in situations like us, where it's like you've literally been in life and death situations, you kind of don't think too far ahead sometimes.
Yeah, no, I try not to think that far ahead, just because, you know, we're just trying to get by day to day most of the time, right?
Exactly.
But now, like, I'm in my return to work process. I mean, I've been back to work for about 7 or 8 months now.
You're getting that working.
But I mean, still, like, they're having troubles like accommodating my injury, because like if I sit too long I get pain, if I stand too long I get pain, right? Like, because I basically obliterated my ass, so like sitting, standing, everything is in that region, like it causes pain. And so they're just like, okay, well, what can we do for this girl that, you know, is where it works for her? So just trying to figure out job wise, like what I'm going to end up doing. And it's still I don't know. Like, I'm in an office right now, but I mean, I still have to take, or I'm trying to make sure that I take regular breaks where I just like lie on my back with my feet in the air, just to try and relieve some of that discomfort. So I don't know what's in the future for me right now. I think I might maybe go back to school, but I mean, I don't even know what I'm going to be capable of doing at the end of the day, right? Like, and what they're going to be able to accommodate for me. So I don't know. And I don't know if I'm going to like I talked to them about being able to have kids and everything. Cause like I have like a big pelvic screw, and I was like, is that going to affect like my ability to have kids? And they say it won't, but I can't even imagine like with this injury actually like carrying a child if I wanted to.
You have to.
I still don't know.
Because I even thought about, like, now that you say that, because like even if you would have to like be on something like bed rest, how would you do that? Because it's like you can't lay down all day.
Right? I know, painful. Yeah. I don't know. I'm literally just taking it day by day, and you know, if I find the right guy, then sure, maybe I'll try and see what happens. But I don't know.
I mean, that's the life. That's the life. That's the life that we live. But you know, I think at the same time, there's like the beauty in it is that, like, what I've seen and realized with my own personal self is that there's always someone that just finds you and just loves you for you, and they're just like, yeah, I'm fuck with it. I'm rocking you to the wheels to fall off, no matter the situation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I find like we were talking about dating before, being honest helps
a lot.
Because you know, if they're not equipped to handle it, they'll tell you and be like, great, I don't want to be with somebody who's not going to be able to be with me mentally as well as physically, right? You know, so good. But no, there's definitely people out there that love us disabled people.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Oh man, but like, you know, I really appreciate you for coming through today, Steph. Like, you know, I always appreciate everyone coming through, just telling their stories, just because like I know it's not always easy for people. So much appreciation is always here.
Talking about it is helpful.
That's what we're trying to push here. Yeah. We're trying to push. No one's alone. We could be a little vulnerable, have a little laugh, and then we keep going.
Yep. Yep. Nope. And I mean, like, everybody that went through Lyndhurst obviously probably had to see a psychologist, whatever, just to talk through things, and that's a big thing, is just having people around you that you can talk to this about. So collecting those people around you is really important in this life.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, it is hard too, right? Especially like getting around places and whatnot, right? Like, I mean, how often do we leave our houses?
Especially in the wintertime.
Especially during the wintertime, especially in a pandemic, right? Yeah. Like, for you, getting around must be just that much harder, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For me, I'm just like, ice everywhere. I'm not stable enough to deal with this.
See, for me, it's the opposite, because it's like I could move on the ice. It's the snow where I got the problems now.
Yeah.
It's like, because I can't push nowhere.
Oh, man, I had to get to work during that big snowstorm that we had.
I couldn't leave my house.
Oh, God, I shouldn't have left my house. I'm just like trying to like trek through this deep snow, and I have enough trouble walking on solid flat ground. Exactly. Now I'm trying to like wade through snow at like 6:30 in the morning when nothing has been shoveled and everything's everywhere. I'm just like, wow, I feel like super crippled right now. Oh my God! This hill is an obstacle.
Yeah,
the snow pile is a big obstacle for me.
The hills are always a bitch. Yeah. Trust me, I know those ones.
Yep. Oh God, fuck TTC. I hate TTC.
See what you guys do to I don't like the way you guys do to my friend. You gotta hook us up more.
Seriously. I was standing waiting for a goddamn streetcar for like 50 minutes in the cold. Be like, where are they? And how come 10 have gone by the opposite direction? Clearly they are able to go down the street. Like, so why is this not happening this way? And where are they going? Are they just disappearing once they go that way? Like, I know there's like 10 of you down that way. There must be 10 of you coming. Where are you?
But, that's how it is. They're always moving slow during these times. And it's like, especially as someone like us, where we already have just a bad enough time getting around as it is. And now it's like freezing. And I'm waiting longer than I should. No real reasons of like when these things are coming.
No updates provided. Like, great. And like the longer I'm out here, I'm just getting stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. Fantastic. Yeah, the world is not built for us, unfortunately.
It's not, but we make our way through it, because that's just what we got to do.
Yeah, so? We just gotta advocate as well,
yeah,
right?
That's a big thing.
Places that we like to go to, be like, listen, this place you say is accessible, and I know it costs money and it takes time to fix these issues, but like, please, for the love of God,
because I feel like
it.
They just help out all of us in general, because I feel like in general, like nowadays, I feel like stairs are fucking stupid. I'm sorry to say that, but it's like, yo, why not just ramp everything? Like, everyone can climb a ramp, like,
Well, for the most part, man. Yeah. So some of these accessible ramps are like,
this is like a straight up, and you're like, okay, when I'm midway through this, how am I gonna keep going?
I'm dying. Oh man, I took to wheelchair really well, though. Like, when I was hospital, I was like, this is fantastic. I was like, look at me just motoring around, like, woo!
Especially when you're like bedbound for such a long time.
Right? Be like so much freedom. I can move so fast right now when the floors are like zippy clean and nice and clear. I gave myself severe carpal tunnel because I was just going so hard in the wheelchair.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, you got to be easy.
You have to be really careful now with your hands and your shoulders and your arms.
It's a lot.
My God.
It's a lot that goes into it.
Lots of things you just don't think about, right?
Until it happens.
And hey, we've got an aging population, going back to like accessibility. Our population is aging. We should have everything accessible now. And like, I know they're pushing for it, but we're in Toronto. This city was built a long time ago, and it is not accessible.
Not at all.
You've got all these really old restaurants and really old houses with like doorways that are built for very small people not in wheelchairs.
Yeah, like it was a hard thing for me, like with getting an apartment, was finding one where I could actually fit through the bathroom.
Right?
Like, that's something I never thought of before.
The way the door opens as well, because if the door opens a certain way, now it's blocking things as well. It's crazy. Yeah. Oh God, so many things go into our lives that people just don't realize.
Yeah, they don't think about it because it doesn't affect them. I think like that's the main thing. But that's why you got people like us. So we talk a lot, and we're not afraid to talk about what's going on.
And we got a lot of time to do it.
Exactly. We're just gonna wrap this up though. Steph, again, thank you for coming through. I really appreciate it.
Man, anytime.
We might have to have you for a part 2 because I think you're going to be a lovable character on this show.
Oh, I'm okay with that.
So, this is the Wheel1 podcast. Your boy, Master Twice. So, we just wrapping it up now.
Peace. Later.